but he's looking fresh. Anyhow, spawning over in the top right-hand side, playing as the Red Protoss on Oxide, it is Lilbow.
And in the bottom left side of Oxide, we're obviously going to take a look at the main base of the Dutchman, who's representing Team Liquid still after all these years. It is uThermal. Really attached to his IEM branding by the looks of it.
Yeah, I've seen it from a few players actually. It looks like he's not in his usual place. I've seen him on stream so many times, but yeah, it's always good to see uThermal about, and it feels like I can't even remember what team he played for before Team Liquid. It's so attached to him, but
the Dutchies,
he did win that. Yeah,
like
he won that IEM under them, right?
AT. The team was AT, but I don't know what AT stands for.
Yeah, it wasn't Armor Team.
No. Or like, was it like mouse control? Now I want to look it up. It's like, all right, you go ahead, Ben. I'll look it up.
Don't worry, I'll start. I'll keep talking about this game. So uThermal did opt for the barracks first, then the gas, meaning he has the choice to get a Reaper out here or a Marine. Does go for the Reaper, and he is going for a Respect Scout as well with the SCV. One of the weaknesses of this build these days is if you go up against Void Ray, well, it's very hard to hold it off, which is why the Marine became so much more prevalent in the openings. But the little battle here, the dance, trying to block the CC going up. We'll get it up in time, and so far, your very, very standard TVP.
It was literally just called AT Gaming.
That's it? It didn't stand for anything?
I don't know, but it said AT Gaming, mate, so...
I like it.
I'm sure it stood for something, but I have no idea what. But that's almost 10 years ago. uThermal has been with Team Liquid for so long. Obviously, he had his ups and downs throughout his career. And I think it is safe to say that he's still one of the very best Terran players in Europe. And on a good day, we know that he is capable of beating anyone. Now, I really wonder, what is Lilbow's go-to build in PvT? I always feel that he's been a Blink Stalker boy. He likes to be aggressive with Stalkers. Obviously, Lilbow became Lilbow because of his phenomenal Blink Stalker control in TBC. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him be very fond of them in this matchup too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll never forget the Oracle opening into, if I kill this amount of drones, then I'm going to win the game with the Stalker Sentry push afterwards. It was just textbook play. Here, this Reaper won't get any kills, but it did get the Scout off. The big information there, which is the Twilight Council. Oh my. I always forget the things that uThermal can do with Reapers. He's always been incredibly good with his micro.
You know what's really fun is, like, if you take a look at the Liga, like, between these two, they have played games against each other, but the last time that Lilbow and uThermal had an official match against one another was 2015. And that's so sick that 6 years later, they suddenly meet again in the most Premier League tournament of Europe, the DreamHack Masters. Lilbow is opening up with Blink, indeed, and there is a robotics facility being warped into. So I wonder if he's going to get the extra gateways, or if he just wants to go up to 3 bases very quickly. That kind of seems to be the case, since he was sending out a probe, almost loses it, but does a good job in saving it. uThermal was opening up with Cloaked Banshees. Now, Ben, out of all the things that I expected of uThermal, this was not it. If you would have told me he's going to open up Cloaked Banshee in game 1, I would have been like, haha, no. 89% that it's a no, but...
It's super risky too, right? Because I feel that Cloaked Banshee is one of those things that can either get super damn shut down, or it can actually deal quite a lot of damage. There's almost no middle ground with the Banshee in this matchup. It's getting tanks, getting Marines as well. Getting an Engineering Bay just to be safe at the front here, making the wall off. Still doesn't quite know whether he's up against the potential of DTs or whatever, but he did see a lot of Stalkers that probably rules that out.
I wonder if this is going to be one of these games where he's going to arrest with 1 Banshee and then maybe even 2 Banshees, but then while the Banshees are keeping the Stalkers at home, that's when he moves out with a bunch of Marines and tanks. I kind of feel like that's your area of expertise, Ben, so why don't you tell us a little more about it?
Well, Kevin, if we're truly honest, this game's gone on 30 seconds longer than most of mine do, if that is my expertise, because I really go pedal to the metal off 1 base. I don't even make a CC, mate. Oh, he took out the... Wow, that's really good by uThermal. Took out the Observer before it actually got to scout anything, but it did also kind of force Lilbow to make another Observer just to check what's going on, and Lilbow's very well prepared for this. Nice pylon positioning by him to scout it out.
Yep. Now, uThermal is dropping a third command center, so he might not make one of these move-outs that we expected him to make. Obviously, right when we say that, the second tank does pop, and is he gonna move out with them or not? He is gonna send everything towards the other side of the map. And this is kind of hard for Lilbow, right? Because you make an observer, he gets picked off on uThermal side of the map. The second observer, you're forced to keep it at home because of the cloaked banshees. You look at Lilbow's vision now. What does he see, man? What kind of map presence does the Frenchman have? He has absolutely nothing, and it's going to be really hard to deal with these tanks once they see Joe.
Absolutely, and the Banshee runs in, but the first one doesn't get anything done whatsoever. There is a second one running behind that mineral line as we speak, but uThermal is at the front door, and oh, that's a lot of panic batteries if I've ever seen them. But that shield battery, I think it's out of range of the tanks, actually.
Out of range. Yeah, it is, but the Nexus isn't. Now, there is a battery overcharge being popped. Lilbow is actually sending all of his stalkers through the middle of the map, so he's going to try to pounce on these tanks from behind, but uThermal's picking up on it. I don't know if he saw them move out, but he's sending out one little SCV, and he now gets the heads up that the stalkers are indeed behind these tanks. Now, the bunkers will finish up. The charge is halfway done. This is kind of weird.
It's weird, but Lilbow's also been super supply blocked the whole duration of this, which is super sad. And now he kind of realizes, he's like, well, damn. And he's going for this counterattack damage, but uThermal's so damn prepared for this.
Yeah, if he wanted to do something like this, I feel like he should have gone immediately. The moment that all of the units left, that's when you can deal damage. But by the time that these stalkers made it to the other side of the map, it feels like it's just a little bit too late. He does dive on the tank. He gets the tank, but he pays the price with almost each and every single stalker. Or actually, it will be each and every single stalker. And this game is a bit of a disaster. Welcome back to the big leagues, but uThermal's giving him absolutely nothing here.
No, and Lilbow's down to 2 bases. And the thing is, uThermal's actually floating over his third, so the harass did good. uThermal gets a scan off, gets to see that the other third is being taken, but Lilbow is completely reset here, and that resources lost tab, that's not what the Protoss is looking for whatsoever.
Still supply block because he lost those pylons and he lost the Nexus. Finally, a pylon will finish up, so Lilbow can warp in a couple of additional units. He does find the tanks in the center of the map, but the Marines are here, the Banshees here too, to push these Stalkers away. And yeah, you look at the production tab, and uThermal's production tab goes halfway across the screen, and Lilbow has one Immortal on the way. I think that kind of says it all.
Yeah, I've got the old school default overlay, so the production tab's covered by the supply at the top, so I can't even see what he's making over here, but uThermal gets back home without suffering any losses whatsoever. His work account's the same as the Protoss, which super sucks for the Protoss. He's got the double engineering bay behind all this as well. uThermal's just looking very pretty this game, and yeah, he's now got his stim, got his combat shield, and the concussive shell as well. Like, he's ready to get his second attack going, and this Banshee, it's getting damage done as well.
Yep, just an excellent game by uThermal. Great strategy. It felt like he knew exactly what he wanted to get done with his opening. And even if that first Banshee didn't do a whole lot, what it did do is keep the Stalkers at home. And once the Stalkers are at home, it opens up the map for him to send his Marines and his tanks to the other side of the map.
Did you see that poor little probe that was trapped? I feel that the shield battery getting killed is going to let that guy out, and he's, I'm free. Oh, and he's dead.
He's dead. It's a bit of a painful game for the Frenchman. There's no other way to put it. uThermal loading up 4 Manavacs full of units and rallying them towards the bottom right. To me, this feels like a little unnecessary and also a bit risky. Imagine if Lilbow picks up on this and is able to blink underneath them. That would be one way to throw away a lead, but I think even if all 4 of these Manavacs die and they don't get anything, I still like uThermal's position.
Yeah, and that just shows how bad it is for Lilbow. Lilbow suffering another supply block here, which is unfortunate. It's thrown down. Oh, he's on double robo, Kev. I didn't even realize he was on double robo. That is one way to build up a pretty fierce bio-killing army.
Yeah. Well, those robots are about to be unpowered that were actually just get killed. One of them gets kind of killed. Yep, and the Widowmines get connections. And this is obviously not the real army. The real army is being unloaded into the main base. And I think Lilbow is seconds away from just leaving this game because there is no stopping everything that uThermal is currently doing against him. The Forge gets picked up as well, so no +2 for you. More pylons going down. And Lilbow legitimately has been supply blocked in this game for minutes. And that's not because he can't macro, that's just because uThermal keeps killing his pylons. He's building 3 robos at a time.
I mean, he's going old school, Kev. He's got 900 gas and over 1k minerals to spend. And as you said, it's not because he's bad. It's because uThermal is playing a game where he's just like resetting Lilbow constantly, time and time again. And he's not giving him the time of day to fight. And soon, because he killed that Forge as well that was getting +2, it's actually going to be 2-2 against 1-0 very soon. Like, this is just a dire situation.
Would you say at that point the Terran army is better than the Protoss army, Ben?
I'd say that Terran army is better than any army at this point in time, Kev, because it is 40 supply ahead with way better upgrades. And hey, Kevin, it's got that upgrade that means, what? How big is that EMP?
It's big, Ben. It's really big. Some people say it's as big as the sun. I think they are exaggerating, but it's pretty big.
It's pretty big, Kevin. It's pretty big. Like, some people. I've only ever heard you call it as big as the sun.
No way I would ever say such a ludicrous thing.
You're terrible. You're terrible. You throw me under the bus at every opportunity. But I gave you the stage here to confess, but that's what we get.
I may have said that landing an EMP with enhanced shockwaves is about as hard as hitting water if you're on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean and you're throwing a basketball over the railing. That's kind of how hard I think it is, man.
You know, that's nice. I had one guy on ladder insult me because he was like, wow, you can't even hit EMP, and then he left the game. I was like, hey, I hit all these EMPs, dude. I can't miss with this thing, you know?
Nice job there by uThermal, even throwing down a scan in the center of the map so the Widowmine blows up the Observer and the Widowmine survives. The only thing I would have liked to see of uThermal, if we're being real nitpicky here, is maybe a second starport a little bit quicker, right? So you can produce 4 Vikings at a time if you feel like that was mandatory. And against Triple Robo, I would say being able to build 4 Vikings at a time is not an unnecessary luxury. Lilbow's army is quite big, but this is not as good as the army of uThermal.
No, it's definitely not. And, you know, the upgrades are massive. There was going to be 7 Colossi on the field at some point if he did manage to survive this. But, yeah, I think too little, too late, unfortunately. There's just too much of the Terran player. And, yeah, that's an army of Colossus.
uThermal just won an entire fight against a battery overcharge that lasted from the beginning to the end. Now,
somebody call Skillers. Somebody call Skillers.
I don't know if Skillers is watching, but Skillers, I think we can clip that, mate. Like, is it really that good, Ben? Like, I didn't see it make much of an impact there.
I knew what you were thinking as soon as you started saying it. I was like, yeah, we've got to get Skillers on this one, because finally he's got his second moment to prove that shield battery overcharge actually isn't as good as we all think it is.
For the people who are unaware of this little well, it's not an inside joke, but for something that we banter about quite often. A little while ago, there was a crazy fight that Beyond took during Ace's ROG, where he actually ran into a battery overcharge, and we thought it was a mistake, but he somehow managed to kill 2 Colossus and an Immortal and win the fight. And we're like, wow, that's like the first time a Terran wins a fight against battery overcharge. And then Skillers clipped it and he tweeted it out, something like, and people say it's overpowered. And then uThermal replied immediately like, wow, shout out to Skillers. He's been watching 1700 games and he finally found the one moment where battery overcharge does not look completely broken. So that's the little backstory there between those two. And it's been a meme ever since.
Oh my God, I started dying just thinking about it. It's so perfect.
Yeah. I mean, like us Protoss players, there's plenty of things we could be ashamed of, or maybe sometimes you wish that X or Y was a bit better, but battery overcharge is like the last thing that anyone would ever say is not good enough. But Skillers was out there and he clipped the one moment where it didn't win Protoss the game. He could clip this one too.
Yeah, I feel that actually that first one, to be fair, that one between Beyond and Stats,
it was crazy.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to work either, but Beyond totally made it happen. Anyhow, we are getting into the second map of the series. Banter aside, it's 11 p.m. and we haven't finished the European section yet. This is going to be a long day, Kevin, but I'm looking forward to it. Anyhow, Blackburn is starting up here and spawning over in the bottom left-hand side as our blue Terran. It is uThermal.
And that obviously means that in the bottom right side of Blackburn, we're looking at the main base of our French Protoss. Let's hope he can get a slightly more pleasant game 2, because I don't think he really enjoyed game 1. This is Lilbow.
You don't think he enjoyed it, Kev?
I think he hated it from start to finish. The moment the first Marines and bunkers showed up at his third base, I don't think he felt any joy for the rest of the game.
It didn't spark joy. Is that what you're
No.
saying?
That did not spark any joy. It only sparked pain.
I feel that if you're a Protoss player and you resort to making 3 robos all at once to try and get back into the game, it's never a good situation, you know?
No, it wasn't. I mean, just well done by uThermal. That's kind of where I was going at in the beginning of the day, where Lilbow often has 1 or 2 builds every matchup in which he just feels very confident, and those are the ones he likes to do. It felt that uThermal has done his homework, and he's like, all right, if that's your build, I actually feel like I have a very good build against it. And the moment he killed that observer on his side of the map, like, you kind of hyped it up. You're like, oh, that's a big deal. And it was a big deal, because that's the observer that made the move out hidden. If Lilbow spots that move out of the Marines and the 2 tanks, then he can immediately send his stalkers to the bottom side of the map. He can shave off 4 or 5 Marines before that push even arrives, and then maybe he can jump on top of those tanks and kill it. And if you then wonder about the Banshees, well, you can always just warp in 2 defensive stalkers or let that Banshee kill a couple of probes, because it's more important to shave Marines off that push than it is to save every single probe. But yeah, obviously he didn't know. He saw it a little bit too late, and it just worked out. Textbook play by uThermal. I feel like that's the game he had in mind, and that's the game he got to execute.
Yeah, absolutely. And this game, he's opting for something very different. Went for the Marine into Reactor. So, and this is something I've always really liked about uThermal. And I spoke with him about builds. Like, back when Beyond used to be the best in the world, when the year he won BlizzCon, we were all studying him, right? All his Terrans. And he was like, yeah, Beyond, he'll actually do a different build on every map, but he'll do the same build on each map. And he really talked about his practice and how to refine it and make it cool. So even though he had variety, once you kind of sussed him out, he would do the same thing on each map. But uThermal here, I was just watching how Lilbow is using 2 probes to scout around the map. Yeah. And it feels like uThermal is known for being cheeky. But the thing is, he can also play very, very standard and very solid. And this is just something that, for Lilbow, he used an extra probe to try and get some information, but didn't work out for him. And yeah, it just feels that uThermal's, what's it called? His reputation already getting himself a little bit of a lead here against Lilbow.
I had a very funny moment once on the day where I was playing some ladder games. I play uThermal on Golden Wall. And they're like, hey, Roddy, are you not going to scout? I was like, no, I don't scout against uThermal because he's the superior player. So I need every mineral I can get my hands on. And there is no way that uThermal would ever cheese me anyway, because he can just win in the macro game. I didn't even finish my sentence, and 3 Marauders walked up to the ramp of the natural. I was like, oh, well, slightly wrong in that one.
Yeah, I mean, he can do it.
Yeah.
By the way, here, he's been cutting SCVs quite a lot. Like, a lot, just to whip out these units as fast as possible. I would be surprised if he's just got a push at his front door.
Yep, he actually, I literally played against uThermal yesterday, and he did this build against me. I thought it was an anti-Roddy special or something, because he didn't want to deal with Phoenixes, but this shows up so early. It's like 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and there is a medevac, a bunch of Marines, and a tank at the bottom of your natural. And you're like, what? Like, how did it even get here so quickly? You know, it's just kind of random. But the Marines are already making their way out. The medevac's picking up the tank, the Widowmine, and he's boosting everything to the other side of the map. So it seems to be a build that he's very fond of. Spots the observer. You've always got a good eye for that, man. That's actually a quality that not every Terran player has. Lilbow knows that this is coming now, but he doesn't have Blink yet, and that tank will absolutely siege up.
Yeah, this is so hard to hold off. I mean, there is a shield battery, but they can only work so many wonders. Does he even have enough energy? Okay, yes, he does. The green battery is rolling out here, but that doesn't make it a free hold at all.
No, I actually think he should have put those... Oh, I think if he puts all 3 Stalkers in a line close to the Gateway Pylon and the Robo, the battery heals up everything. I think Lilbow didn't get max value out of his overcharge there. He did pick up the Widowmine, but now the Robo is on power. We'll get a few more shots off. 4 Stalkers is the magical number you need to one-shot Marines without combat shield.
But this is just bad, right? Like losing your tech, getting the 3rd base as early as he did, and this is only going to get worse, Kevin. The 2nd tank is joining now, and that's a hell of a lot more firepower. And look, he was missing pylons the previous game, but he's more than made up for it this game.
Yeah, but now he doesn't have the units, as the Gateway has died, the Robo has died, and Lilbow may have 3 Nexus, but uThermal showing absolutely no mercy today. There are 5 extra Gateways being warped in now in the main base of Lilbow. By the time that those Gateways are ready, there's a Liberator that's going to join this push too. man, uThermal's relentless in this best of 3.
Yeah, uThermal turned up and he was not messing around, right? He knows, and I think you do this kind of stuff when you really respect your opponent, honestly, because you don't want to play a normal game against somebody that's very comfortable playing a normal game. But the build variety from the uThermal, it was just top-notch.
Yep. Lilbow's gates are close to finishing up, and he does still have one more shield battery. There is no pylon on the low ground. I feel like a pylon would have been nice to maybe warp in a couple of units behind enemy lines. The second battery overcharges is going to get picked off, and 3 tanks and a Liberator, a couple of Marines with a medevac. Like, how do you even engage this with Starfish? I feel like you just don't.
No, you don't. And now, Lilbow, he was out of 101 supply not too long ago, but now supply blocked, and yet again in this series. And through no fault of his own.
I'm actually surprised that he lost that many pylons there. I didn't even see that many pylons in the natural, but devastating build by uThermal, man. This hits like a truck, as Reina would say.
Yeah, just crazy. Lilbow resorting to desperate measures, which you kind of have to do. Oh my goodness, he was going to scout it immediately anyway, and GG uThermal.